Let's start right off. Biden goes full Sharpton. That's the focus of tonight's angle.
That was horrible to see, as you saw. To see people treated like they did, horses barely running them over, people being strapped, it's outrageous. I promise you those people will pay. They will be, an investigation underway now, and there will be consequences. There will be consequences.
So much for Biden tacking to the middle to unite the country and save his presidency. We suggested that last night. Well, the amiable old man who ran for president with a pledge to bring us all together has decided that moving hard left is his only option. And we know what the hard left thinks of law enforcement. Whether it's cops on the beat or a dangerous urban area getting overrun by criminals, Border Patrol in Texas trying to deter crossings by illegal immigrants, the radicals running the Democrat Party will cry racism whenever they believe it helps them politically. The facts just don't matter. And just as they did with Nick Sandmann in that case, remember staring at the indigenous man years ago, the left is seizing on an image, one image, to make unfounded defamatory claims. It's incredibly stupid, which is why Kamala Harris was happy to join in.
I was outraged by it. It was horrible and deeply troubling. There's been now an investigation that is being conducted, which I fully support, and there needs to be consequence and accountability. Human beings should not be treated that way.
Okay, she's talking about the people on horseback. And then she talks about consequences and accountability. Now that's hilarious, coming from an administration that still hasn't fired anyone. No accountability there for 13 of our troops being slaughtered at the Kabul airport, or after that botched retaliatory drone strike that killed 7 innocent kids. And you know what's horrible and deeply troubling, Madam Vice President, is that we now have an administration run by people who have nothing but disdain for the hardworking men and women who put their lives on the line every single day to keep us safe. This is disgusting.
It also evoked images of some of the worst moments of our history where that kind of behavior has been used against the indigenous people of our country, has been used against African Americans during times of slavery.
There's that weird laugh again. Is she not aware of the fact that Native Americans rode on horseback themselves in hostile situations? Or did she miss that part of history? Again, Biden and Harris never speak in this manner, in this kind of very aggressive tone about China, which is actually committing genocide. They never speak about illegal aliens or refugees who commit unspeakable crimes with such condemnatory tones. It's not an exaggeration to say that the Biden administration now speaks more charitably about the Taliban than it does about U.S. law enforcement. And by the way, they can all stop pretending now to care about the American working class. They don't even wait for an investigation. They just spew poisonous rhetoric about lying Border Patrol officers who are overwhelmingly Hispanic, by the way. And they're paid annually, only a fraction of what Hunter pockets from one lousy painting. Yet by mimicking Al Sharpton on race, Joe and Kamala just make themselves look more petty and less serious. It's all one big change the subject move on their part. From the images of migrant squalor in Del Rio to the images of slave trader border agents on horseback. Well, the truth is, Biden is to blame himself for both images, which is why his poll numbers are in free fall. And he's violating not just his unity promise, but his I'll follow the science promise as well. His CDC panel overwhelmingly rejected recommending vaccine boosters for all but older Americans, but Joe doesn't care.
I've made clear all along, the decision of which booster shot to give, when to start the shot, and who will get them is left to the scientists and the doctors. That's what happened here. We bought enough booster shots, and states and pharmacies, doctors' offices, and community health centers have been preparing to get shots in arms, booster shots in arms, for a while.
Now, the panel voted 16-2. They were overridden. Thank you very much. So whatever Fauci and Pfizer want, in other words, Fauci and Pfizer is going to get in this administration. And that extends to pressuring the 25% of adults who've declined the vaccine for whatever reason. Biden thinks he can insult his way to persuasiveness and popularity.
3/4 of the eligible have gotten at least one shot, but 1/4 has not gotten any, and they are causing a lot of damage. The unvaccinated overcrowd our hospitals, overrunning emergency rooms and intensive care units.
You're causing damage. And funny how you're not worried about millions of migrants taking up hospital beds using our resources, which they do all the time. And most of them are obviously not vaccinated, Mr. President, and they're still being shipped all over the United States to seed the rest of the country with COVID. So spare me the supposed concern about spreading disease and using up hospital resources. Oh, by the way, and where's all the concern about social distancing here? Who really believes that only 18 to 20% of these migrants are testing positive for COVID? We're lucky at this point we can find anyone who still wants to work in Border Patrol given this nightmarish and dangerous situation. You know, I was thinking today, the lies oftentimes come so fast from Biden that sometimes it's just hard to keep up. And I'm a fast typer when I'm watching this stuff. And if we had an honest, independent fact checker out there, the Biden speechwriting shop would get crucified for this one.
Take a look at what I inherited when I came into office. We had 4 million people vaccinated. We had no plan. I could go down the list. So, part of it is dealing with the panoply of things that were landed on my plate. I'm not complaining. It's just a reality.
It depends on what the meaning of the word reality is. Joe's reality tracks with your typical memory care patient's reality. But on planet Earth, when Joe took office, we were already administering over 1.5 million doses a day. Nearly 19 million people had already received the first dose by then. In other words, President Trump handed Biden an incredible vaccine rollout. All Biden had to do was execute it. So any vaccine failures at this point are all on Joe. Not only, though, is Biden going full Sharpton on race and lying about COVID, he's going full squad on not just the rich, but pretty much anyone with a small bank account.
If you file with a W-2 form, the IRS has access to your bank account. And your bank tells you how much you made, what you have in there. And that's why we have to rehire some IRS agents. And not to do anything, not to try to make people pay something they don't know. Just say, hey, step up. Step up and pay like everybody else does. Look, I really mean this. I just think it's about just paying your fair share, for Lord's sake.
What a complete scam. Now we know a key part of Joe's jobs plan is to grow the number of IRS agents so they can harass hardworking Americans. Good on you. Does that mean Reverend Al, by the way, will finally pay up? Okay, it wasn't a big deal. It was only $4.7 million in back taxes. Come on. From the border to boosters to bank surveillance, we see Biden's team grabbing at any leftist cause that presents itself. But this will only guarantee one outcome: a declining presidency and, sadly for us, a declining America. And that's the angle.